how Tesla compares to Ford and GM. You want to talk to this
Yeah,
chart? I know it's hard for people, so let me explain. This first column here is sales and service. Then this one is auto cost of sales. Then auto gross profit, and then corporate net profit. And then the
yeah,
red is Tesla, the dark blue is Ford, and the light blue is GM. This is
right. And
fiscal year
so,
2022. Go ahead.
right, what I'm trying to illustrate here is just how much room to play Tesla has got. So just understand that the last two columns are actually multiplying by 100. So because I didn't want to have tiny bars on the chart, I changed the scale to on the right too. But if you look at revenue, you can see that GM and Ford are all double,
Much more. More. Yeah, double.
double,
Mhm.
literally double, even though they have many times more vehicles, 4 or 5 times as many vehicles. They sell, their revenue is literally double. But when you look at the gross margin, which is the third column, and you look at the net profit, you'll see that Tesla beats them both.
Yeah.
Now, that's not going to happen this quarter. This quarter, GM is going to beat Tesla handily, and even Ford may, in terms of gross profit and net profit, in my view. But nonetheless, the margin, the ratios for Tesla are going to be a lot better than for the GM. The point about this chart is that Tesla has got room to maneuver, and they're using that room to maneuver. Now, a lot of people argue, and quite cogently, that if they were advertising and marketing more actively, they would do better. And it's more than possible. I think that the reality is that they've reached, saturation point for the type of vehicle they have.
Mhm.
They're running behind in delivering a broader line, a broader range of vehicles, the Cybertruck and the 25K car, whatever they want to call it, that other model, which would fill out the range very well. Not the other model, but the actual platform. So it's going to have to be a platform. There's going to have to be several variants of that vehicle. But the Cybertruck and the entry level model, together with the 3Y and the S and X, would be a range of cars that could, grow to that 20-30 million range. They're late in delivering that, and they're late
Mhm.
in delivering that for probably a couple of reasons. One, I think, is the pandemic. The pandemic put them back at least a year, maybe 2 years. The other reason is that it's difficult for them. They don't have the infrastructure. I remember Elon in an interview talking wistfully about the fact these other OEMs could do multiple vehicles at a time, and they could only do one vehicle at a time. At that time, he had the three in the market, and they were trying
Yeah.
to deliver the Y. They wanted to do the Cybertruck, and then the pandemic struck. But he was talking even at that time of how difficult it was. So the point about that whole slide is that Tesla are ideally positioned because of their margins, because of their cost control of costs at every level, including their software implementation, and it's talked about in this quarterly review, and also because of their low manufacturing costs, they're very well positioned to compete very aggressively in cost. It's possible that they could do better by doing a little bit of marketing, or a lot of marketing, a little bit of advertising, a lot of advertising. We all second guess Elon on many, many subjects. A lot of people are second guessing him on this subject. I've learned to stop second guessing him.
Mhm.
I've heard so many people second guessing him so long, for so many years. Ever since, I guess, ever since he founded SpaceX, ever since he's founded Tesla, they all tell me about how he's doing it wrong. And they keep telling me how he's doing it wrong. And yet, he launches Starship. I mean, he just does it. So I've learned to stop second guessing him. I would prefer him not to be as political as he is. I think it's impacting sales. I think it has a definite impact on the market. But, he's Elon. He's not going to change
What's
him
your
now.
opinion? The earnings call happened yesterday. They're doing the volume versus margin play, doing it right now during a macro environment, thinking that it's the right thing to do because they're going to just grow their volume and make up the margin later.
Mm-hmm.
What was your reaction to that when you heard that they really just doubled down on that idea?
It's complicated. Look, I happen to be of the same mind that we are in a very bad macro situation. People quote how many cars so and so is selling, and there's such a backlog for that car and this car. But I would tell you something. I have such skepticism. I think the end of this quarter, everybody's going to look at around and say, "My God, what happened to the OEMs?" I think the channel is so full of vehicles right now. It's so packed with vehicles. I think that we're going to see, huge problems in the channel. Huge problems in the channel. I don't think that we're going to see a lot of cars move this quarter. That's my view. I may be reading it wrong. So I'm the wrong guy to ask. I happen to have, you know, drunk the Alexa. I believe him. I do think they handled the call very badly.
Hmm.
There wasn't passion in that call yesterday. There wasn't. I didn't feel very convinced. And I love Zach. I think he's such a great CFO. He wasn't present. Elon wasn't present, and even Drew kind of bungled it. And there wasn't the energy in that room that there should have been, and the level of there wasn't the level of you know presence. So take that, add to it the complexity of the situation.
Hmm.
Didn't didn't They didn't get the message across, and they didn't get their message clear. But it's happened before. We've been through these calls so many times when it sounded terrible, it didn't go well. And I don't remember, it was the first quarter of 2019. It's terrible. The stock went to hell, and what 2 quarters later we were at some high watermark. So I think that the strategy, I understand the strategy. I think they're right. I think we are in a recession. I think the number of people working in this country today is the lowest it's been since the 70s. Percentage of people that are participating in the workforce, the lowest it's been in the 70s. And they can tell me everything they want to tell me about how low unemployment is. I say that's bull. I say that the unemployment rate is higher in this country than it's been in 50 years. And I was there in the 70s. I was losing my boots in the 70s. Nearly went out of business. So I know what it's like. And we're only going to realize it in a year's time or the next year. But the level of participation is just terrible, terrible. And they keep talking about how low unemployment is. It's incredibly high.
You believe the macro is worse than it is, and so you're okay. You're thinking that the Tesla management is dealing with a very tough macro, and then you did say, right? Just want to confirm with me that you do agree with the volume versus margin play right now. It's, strategically, just the right thing to be doing.
Yes, but I still think that Gary has a really good point about marketing. I think that I don't like the idea of advertising, but I will never forget the ad that Steve Jobs had,
Mm-hmm.
with the big
Mm-hmm. Sledgehammer.
face, sledgehammer, blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah. Elon needs a sledgehammer, and that's really where I mean Steve was incredible. Steve could never run a business the way Elon could run a business,
Mm-hmm.
but my God, could he sell a product? And then with Elon, you don't like his product, don't buy it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think Gary has a point.